The End Times, Timeline Explained. If all these prophecies are real, what happens first? From today to the end of Revelation. For thousands of years, people have tried to understand the prophecies about the end of history. But what if those prophecies actually form a timeline? Tonight we walk through the possible sequence of events described in the Bible, from today to the final chapters of Revelation. Have you ever looked at the world map and wondered about the nation of Israel? It's a tiny country, but its story is colossal, echoing through thousands of years of history. What's truly fascinating is how its modern existence, established in 1948, seems to mirror ancient prophecies, particularly those found in the book of Ezekiel. Many people see the return of the Jewish people to their ancestral homeland as a direct fulfillment of what was written over 2.5 millennia ago. Let's dive into this and explore the connection. The prophet Ezekiel lived during a time of immense crisis for his people. The kingdom of Judah had been conquered by Babylon. Jerusalem and its temple were destroyed, and the people were exiled. It was a dark, hopeless time. Imagine being forcibly removed from your home, your culture scattered. In the midst of this despair, Ezekiel delivered a message of future hope and restoration from God. One of the most powerful and well-known of these prophecies is in Ezekiel chapter 37, the vision of the valley of dry bones. In this vision, Ezekiel is shown a valley full of dry, scattered bones. It's a grim picture of death and finality. God asks him, "Son of man, can these bones live?" Ezekiel wisely replies, "Sovereign Lord, you alone know." Then God commands Ezekiel to prophesy to the bones. As he speaks, an incredible thing happens. The bones start rattling and coming together bone to bone. Then tendons and flesh appear on them, and skin covers them. But they are still lifeless bodies. So God commands Ezekiel to prophesy again, this time to the breath or spirit. As he does, breath enters the bodies, and they come to life, standing up on their feet, a vast army. God then explains the vision. He says, "These bones are the whole house of Israel." They say, "Our bones are dried up and our hope is gone. We are cut off." God promises, "I will open your graves and bring you up from them. I will bring you back to the land of Israel." This prophecy wasn't just about a spiritual revival. It was explicitly about a physical return to a specific geographical location, the land of Israel. For centuries, this seemed like an impossible dream. The Jewish people were scattered across the globe, a diaspora living in other nations, often facing persecution. The land itself was ruled by a succession of empires: the Romans, the Byzantines, the Arabs, the Crusaders, the Ottomans, and the British. The idea of them returning and re-establishing a sovereign nation seemed like a fantasy. Yet, in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, something began to shift. The Zionist movement gained momentum, and Jewish people began returning to the land in increasing numbers. After the devastation of the Holocaust, the international community, through the United Nations, voted to partition the land, and on May 14, 1948, the State of Israel was declared. It was as if the dry bones were beginning to stir on the world stage. People from all corners of the earth, from Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, and the Americas began to gather. Many who read Ezekiel today see these events as a stunning fulfillment of prophecy. They see the physical restoration of the nation of Israel as the bones coming together. They point to the revival of Hebrew as a spoken language, the flourishing of the land, and the ingathering of people from over 100 countries as evidence that Ezekiel's vision is unfolding before our very eyes. The prophecy also speaks of them receiving a new heart and a new spirit, which many interpret as a future spiritual renewal that is yet to be fully realized. Of course, interpretations vary, and the situation in the Middle East is complex, with deep political and historical layers. But regardless of your perspective, the parallel between the ancient words of Ezekiel and the modern reality of Israel is undeniably striking. It prompts us to consider the enduring power of these ancient texts and their relevance in our world today. The story of Israel's regathering is a testament to resilience, hope, and the remarkable way history can sometimes rhyme with prophecy. What do you think? Is the modern state of Israel a fulfillment of Ezekiel's prophecy? It's a powerful question to ponder. Have you ever wondered why one city, out of all the cities in the world, seems to be constantly in the headlines. I'm talking about Jerusalem. It's a place that captures the world's attention like no other. For billions of people, it's a city of immense spiritual significance, central to 3 of the world's major religions. But this deep connection has also made it one of the most disputed and fought-over pieces of real estate on the planet. Think about it. Kings, empires, and nations have risen and fallen over this city for thousands of years. From ancient battles to modern political debates, Jerusalem remains at the very center of global discussion and conflict. It's a focal point for international diplomacy, and decisions made about its status can send ripples across the entire globe. The sheer weight of its history and the passionate claims upon it create a unique and complex situation that no other city faces. Interestingly, this modern reality seems to echo ancient prophecies. Take the book of Zechariah in the Bible, for instance. Written over 2,500 years ago, it describes a future time when Jerusalem would become what it calls a cup of staggering for all the surrounding peoples and a heavy stone for all the nations. The text says that all who try to lift this stone would be severely injured. When you look at the world today, it's hard not to see a parallel. Nations gather, they debate, they try to solve the Jerusalem problem, but a lasting solution remains elusive. The city has become a burden, a heavy political and diplomatic weight that nations struggle to handle. The language used in these ancient texts, a heavy stone, a cup of staggering, paints a vivid picture of the very situation we see playing out on the world stage. Whether you view it through a lens of faith or simply through the lens of history and current events, the intense global focus on Jerusalem is undeniable. It's a city that was prophesied to be a point of contention for the world, and today it holds a unique and burdensome role in international affairs, just as described. It makes you think, doesn't it? What is it about this specific place that gives it such enduring importance? Hey everyone, after our deep dive into the history of Jerusalem, we are going to discuss one of the most talked about topics connected to the city, the rebuilding of the Third Temple. For thousands of years, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem has been the heart of Jewish faith. It was the site of the first temple, built by King Solomon, and later, the Second Temple, which stood until its destruction in 70 AD. Today, the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque stand on this sacred ground, a site also deeply revered in Islam. So what about a third temple? For many religious Jews, rebuilding the temple is not just a hope, it's a biblical prophecy, a core belief that it will be restored in the Messianic age. Organizations have been formed, and detailed plans have been drafted, right down to the sacred vessels and priestly garments. They are ready, waiting for the moment they believe is divinely ordained. But the reality on the ground is incredibly complex. The Temple Mount is one of the most sensitive and contested pieces of real estate in the world. Any attempt to alter the current status quo could have massive geopolitical consequences. It's a place where faith, history, and politics collide in a way that's almost unmatched anywhere else on Earth. Exploring this topic isn't about taking sides or making predictions. It's about understanding the powerful beliefs and ancient prophecies that continue to shape our modern world. It shows how deeply history is woven into the fabric of the present. What do you think about this? Does understanding the history give you a new perspective on the headlines we see today? Have you ever wondered about the prophecies of a future world leader, a figure some call the Antichrist? It's a topic that has fascinated people for centuries, weaving through religious texts and sparking endless discussion. According to some interpretations of biblical prophecy, this figure is not just a distant concept, but a charismatic leader who will emerge on the world stage. The idea is that this individual will rise to global prominence with incredible speed, captivating nations with promises of peace and unity. Imagine a leader so persuasive, so seemingly brilliant, that they can solve problems that have stumped diplomats for generations. This person is often depicted as a master strategist, someone who can bring warring factions together and offer solutions that appear to benefit everyone. The key part of this narrative often centers on the Middle East, specifically involving Israel. Some interpretations suggest that this leader's rise to power will be marked by a significant political achievement, brokering a peace treaty or a covenant that directly concerns Israel and its neighbors. This agreement would be hailed as a historic breakthrough, a 7-year pact that promises security and stability in a region long defined by conflict. The world would likely celebrate this leader as a peacemaker, a visionary who finally brought harmony. This act is seen as the event that truly catapults the leader to a position of unparalleled global authority. With the world's trust secured, their influence would grow exponentially. They might propose new systems for global governance, economics, and even religion, all under the banner of unity and progress. People from all walks of life might be drawn to their message, seeing them as the answer to humanity's biggest challenges. Of course, these are interpretations of ancient texts, and there are many different views on what they mean or if they will come to pass. But the story itself presents a powerful thought experiment about leadership, influence, and the human desire for peace. It's a narrative that continues to capture the imagination, prompting us to think about the future and the kind of leaders we might follow. What are your thoughts on these prophecies? Have you ever heard the term the Great Tribulation and wondered what it's all about? It sounds intense, right? Well, today we're going to break down this significant period described in the Bible, specifically in the book of Revelation. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's dive into one of the most talked about prophecies. The Great Tribulation refers to a future period of unprecedented global turmoil. Think of it as a time when the challenges facing humanity will escalate dramatically. The Bible describes this period as a time of great distress, unlike anything seen before in history. It's not just one single event, but a series of interconnected events that unfold across the globe. So what kind of events are we talking about? Revelation paints a vivid picture. First, it speaks of widespread conflicts and wars. Imagine nations rising against nations and kingdoms against kingdoms. This isn't just a local skirmish. It's global instability on a massive scale, leading to a breakdown of peace and order as we know it. The familiar horsemen of the apocalypse are often associated with this, symbolizing conquest, war, famine, and death. Alongside these conflicts, the Bible describes a surge in natural and ecological disasters. We're talking about earthquakes in various places, famines and pestilences, widespread diseases. These aren't just random occurrences. They're described as happening with increasing frequency and intensity, like birth pains. The natural world itself will seem to be in turmoil, affecting everything from our food supply to our sense of security. The sun, moon, and stars are even mentioned as showing strange signs. Another key aspect of the Great Tribulation is a period of intense persecution. The book of Revelation describes a time when people of faith will face immense pressure and hardship simply for holding on to their beliefs. It will be a time of great testing, where faith is challenged in ways we can hardly imagine today. This isn't meant to scare, but to prepare and encourage believers to stand firm in their convictions, knowing that this difficult period has an ultimate purpose. Now, it's important to remember that discussions about the end times can bring up a lot of questions and sometimes anxiety. The purpose of these prophecies isn't to create fear, but to offer hope and a sense of divine sovereignty. They remind us that even in the midst of chaos, there is a bigger plan at work. For believers, it's a call to be watchful, to live with purpose, and to place their trust in God's ultimate plan of redemption and restoration. It's a complex topic with many different interpretations, but understanding the basics can give us a deeper appreciation for the biblical narrative. Have you ever heard the word Armageddon and wondered what it really means? It's a term that's seeped into our culture, often used to describe any huge disaster. But its origins are much more specific and profound, pointing to a single, climactic event described in biblical prophecy. It's not just a random battlefield. It's a specific place and a pivotal moment in time. The name Armageddon comes from the Hebrew Har Megiddo, which translates to Mountain of Megiddo. This isn't a towering peak, but a large hill or mound in northern Israel, overlooking the vast and historically significant Jezreel Valley. For thousands of years, this valley has been a crossroads for empires and a stage for countless decisive battles. Its strategic importance is undeniable, which is why it's so significant that prophecy names this very location for a final, global confrontation. According to the book of Revelation, Armageddon is the place where the kings of the whole inhabited earth will be gathered. Imagine that for a moment. Forces from every corner of the globe, a coalition of nations drawn together as if by an unseen hand. The prophecy describes unclean spirits, like frogs coming from the mouths of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. These spirits are said to perform signs and go out to the kings of the earth, gathering them for this great battle. This isn't a conflict that erupts by accident. It's a supernaturally orchestrated assembly. So, what brings them here? The text suggests it's a final, defiant stand against divine authority. It's the culmination of human history, where all the political, military, and ideological powers of the world converge. They aren't just fighting each other. They are gathered together for a battle on the great day of God the Almighty. This sets the stage for an unparalleled confrontation, not just between human armies, but between humanity and its creator. This gathering is depicted as the climax of what is known as the Great Tribulation, a period of unprecedented trouble on earth. The nations, led by a figure often identified as the Antichrist, consolidate their power and are filled with a spirit of rebellion. Their march toward Megiddo is the final act of this defiance. It's the moment the world's powers make their ultimate move, believing they can challenge the heavens themselves. The imagery is powerful and sobering. It speaks of a world unified, but in opposition to its maker. It's the ultimate expression of human pride and self-reliance, taken to its absolute extreme. The armies won't just be soldiers with conventional weapons. This is a symbolic gathering of all worldly power and authority, setting itself against the divine King Jesus Christ, who is prophesied to return at this very moment. While the build-up to Armageddon is described as a massive military mobilization, the battle itself is surprisingly swift. It's not a prolonged war of attrition. The scriptures describe the return of Christ with the armies of heaven. His victory is not achieved through military strategy, but by the power of his word. The conflict is decisive and absolute, marking the end of the world's systems as we know them and the beginning of a new era of divine rule. Understanding Armageddon isn't about fear-mongering or predicting dates. It's about recognizing a core theme in prophecy, the ultimate clash between two kingdoms, the kingdom of this world and the kingdom of God. It's a story that challenges us to think about where our own allegiances lie. This ancient prophecy continues to fascinate and captivate people because it speaks to the deepest questions of power, justice, and the ultimate destiny of humanity. Have you ever gazed at the stars and wondered about the end of all things? Tucked away at the very end of the Bible is a book filled with prophecies, visions, and a grand cosmic story, the Book of Revelation. It's not just about an ending, but a new beginning, a promise of ultimate restoration. Join us as we journey through this incredible and often mysterious book. The story begins with a series of dramatic events known as the Great Tribulation. Imagine a scroll in heaven, sealed with 7 seals. As each seal is broken, powerful forces are unleashed upon the earth. We see symbolic horsemen riding out, bringing conquest, war, famine, and death. Then, 7 trumpets sound, each heralding a new phase of divine judgment, shaking the very foundations of the world. Finally, 7 bowls of God's wrath are poured out, a final, intense series of plagues that signify the climax of this period of turmoil. These aren't just random disasters. They are portrayed as a divine response to a world that has turned away from its creator, a powerful and sobering depiction of consequence and justice. It's a time of unprecedented trial, designed to purify and test the faith of humanity. But just when all seems lost, the sky opens up. This is the moment history has been building towards, the second coming of Christ. It's not a quiet, humble arrival like his first, but a magnificent and triumphant return. He descends from the heavens, not as a suffering servant, but as a conquering king, riding a white horse, his eyes like blazing fire. He is the Word of God, leading the armies of heaven. With a single command, he vanquishes the forces of darkness that have plagued humanity for so long. This is the ultimate victory of good over evil, a powerful demonstration that light will always overcome the shadows. The establishment of his rightful reign is at hand. Following this victory, an era of unprecedented peace and justice begins. The millennial reign. For 1,000 years, Christ rules on earth. Imagine a world where swords are beaten into plowshares, where lions lie down with lambs. This is a time of global prosperity, true harmony, and direct righteous governance. The deep-seated conflicts and injustices of our current age are gone. People live in security and abundance, learning the ways of God in a world finally at rest. It's a beautiful picture of what humanity was always meant to be, living in perfect fellowship with its King. This golden age serves as a testament to God's ultimate plan for His creation. After the 1,000 years are over, the final chapter unfolds. This is the final judgment. All who have ever lived from all of history are gathered before the great white throne. Every deed, every word, every thought is brought into the light, and everyone is held accountable for their lives. It is a moment of absolute truth and perfect justice. At this time, evil in all its forms, the devil, his angels, and all who followed him is defeated once and for all, cast into the lake of fire. This is the final, decisive end of rebellion, ensuring that sin and darkness will never again threaten God's creation. And now, the grand finale. The old order passes away, and God declares, "Behold, I am making all things new." A new heaven and a new earth are created, pristine and perfect, free from the curse of sin and decay. And descending from this new heaven is the most breathtaking sight of all, the New Jerusalem. It's not just a city, it's a radiant jewel-like home, prepared as a bride for her husband. Here, God Himself dwells with humanity. There will be no more death, no more sorrow, no more crying, no more pain. The sun and moon are no longer needed because the glory of God gives it light. This is the ultimate restoration, the beautiful, eternal conclusion to the cosmic story, where humanity lives in perfect, unending fellowship with its Creator. Thank you for joining us on this epic journey through the book of Revelation. If this story of hope and ultimate redemption moved you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with others who might be seeking answers. This is the Watchman Record. Thank you for watching. Leave any comments below and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.